So today I was going to do the 1999 MLS season recap since today is Thursday, and usually when we're in the off season, or in this case we're waiting for the MLS season to return, I usually do a throwback video on Thursday. But instead, I'm going to do a quick news of the week episode because I want to give you guys update in terms of MLS proposal of potentially restarting the season in Orlando, because we have now got a little bit more detail in terms of how the mini tournament that they are going to do once they restart the season. And basically what they're going to do is that they're going to have 4 different groups in this mini tournament, and each of these groups is going to have 6 teams, except there's going to be one group where there's going to be 8 teams. And the reason why it's kind of uneven is since you have 26 teams in MLS, you cannot have an even amount of teams in if you only have 4 groups apiece. So that's why one of the group unfortunately will have 8 teams in it, and all of these teams will at least play once, except for the group that has 8 teams, where there's going to be 2 opponents that they won't be able to play in this kind of mini tournament, and each of these teams will have 5 games in what it is kind of like the regular season of this mini tournament. The top 2 teams in each of the group is going to move on into the knockout stage, and then I'm assuming they're going to have kind of a mini knockout kind of playoffs to see who, of course, win the title of this mini tournament that they're doing down in Orlando. And then afterwards, I think they're saying that after that, they're going to return to the season with all of the games are going to be taking place only that is going to be happening in conference, which means that there's not going to be like inter-conference matchup where we're going to see a match where a Western Conference team is going to be taking place against an Eastern Conference team. And the playoff format is now expanded to 9 teams to be able to make it to the playoffs in each of the conference. So yeah, this is definitely interesting to see how that's going to go. Oh, one more thing. Nashville is now moved to the Eastern Conference temporarily because of this format, although I'm assuming for the foreseeable future this is probably going to be a permanent move, because we know next year when St. Louis does come into, or not St. Louis, Austin comes into the league, that's when Austin is probably going to be in the Western Conference and Nashville is going to switch back to the Eastern Conference. And that since now we're going to do it now after this mini tournament is going to resume, I think that's just going to be probably a permanent move, even though they said it's just going to be temporary that they are moving to the Eastern Conference. Now, that being said, despite the fact that they did put this proposal just today, there is also a lot of reports saying that the MLS Players Association are not going to go forward with this, and that there's still a lot of question and kind of complaints from the players of what's going to happen in this format and whether or not if this is actually at least something we should do. And I don't blame the players having a lot of questions and some even being confused of this whole format, because imagine, in the last News of the Week episode when I mentioned this, imagine you're a player and you have to take a 20% pay cut and you cannot see your families during this little mini tournament. That has to be incredibly hard, especially during a time of pandemic like we are dealing with right now. So yeah, as much as it's great the fact that we have got more detail in terms of this proposal plan, as long as we're not going to have any reports or official announcement, the fact that the Player Association are agreeing to this and they're willing to go and do this plan as a way to restart the MLS season, we're not going to restart the MLS season. So we'll see how it's going to go in the upcoming days, and if there is going to be more updates, I'm going to try to kind of make a video, maybe not even in a News of the Week kind of video. I'll probably just make a single video in terms of the updates that is going on of whether or not if MLS is going to restart the season late in June or early July, as they are saying, with this proposed plan of restarting in Orlando. Now, the other news that is pretty big from this week also happened today, where today FC Cincinnati named their next head coach, as they named Japp Stam as their next head coach of FC Cincinnati. He's a former Manchester United player, and since the last time when I mentioned his name of potentially become an FC Cincinnati head coach, I kind of have a little bit better idea of him in terms of managerial role. I mean, I have heard that he, of course, managed Reading, although he's kind of gone a little bit down. He's kind of put that team a little bit in the rough time in this season, and that he's not really doing very well with the team. So, yeah, we don't know if this is going to work, and whether or not if this is going to work out for FC Cincinnati. But again, we'll see how it's going to go, and he's going to definitely have times. This is going to be interesting to see how he's going to prepare for his team to get back from the season. I mean, I guess maybe this might be a good time for FC Cincinnati to hire a head coach, knowing the fact that this head coach is going to at least get some time with the squad and at least see how each of the team will play and pretty much put his style into the teams before the season starts. Because again, I think besides the fact that we are going to eventually restart the season, there's going to be times where these teams are going to have a couple of weeks to prepare, and maybe during those couple of weeks there's going to have a couple of friendly matches just to get back up to competitiveness and get back to kind of gain fitness with each of these teams before they restart the season. DC United has begun exploring a possibility of bringing Gonzalo Higuain to MLS. So last time we talked about the whole Higuain saga, we mentioned that he was potentially going to go to the Galaxy because of the Guillermo Barros-Skeletto's the connection. But now it seemed like he might be going to DC United, and the reason why he might be going to DC United is because his brother is currently at DC United. Although at least I think that is going to be the case, and it'll be interesting to see both Higuain kind of reunite each other and playing on the same team. But yeah, we shall see whether or not if that is going to happen, and if it does happen, I think it could be a good move for DC. I mean, they desperately need a striker in their team. They know that they really only have like one true striker, that is Ola Kamara, and Ola Kamara is a decent striker for an MLS team, but the problem is, that's the only guy that they got as a true number 9. And if he does go down, as I said before, this could be a big problem for DC, and that they just don't have a natural number 9 to play in that spot. So that's why I think they're probably getting Higuain just as kind of an insurance policy, or maybe bring him as a starter over Ola Kamara, so that in case if one of their striker does get injured, at least they have a backup plan in terms of that. Now, an unnamed MLS club have rejected a possible transfer of Gareth Bale, and I have a feeling this unnamed MLS club probably might have been Inter Miami, because from what I read from the article on ESPN, they said that unnamed MLS club actually came from the Eastern Conference, and that when that usually happens, that probably means it's probably Inter Miami, the one that they're looking to get Gareth Bale. I mean, after all, Inter Miami has been pretty much trying to hunt for these big name kind of player to come to their team, and kind of wanting to finally get that big name player that they've been promising their fans to eventually get it. But it seemed like most likely it's not going to be Gareth Bale, and the reason why it's not going to be Gareth Bale is because his wage demand is just way too high in MLS. Like right now, he is earning like 600,000 euros per week in Real Madrid, and there's just no way in the world he could go from that much amount of money. Like, even if you downside his wage, that is still a lot of money, and MLS team's going to have to pay him, and that he could easily end up to be the highest player to be paid in the league, and it's not even going to be close whatsoever. So I guess maybe that is the reason why an unnamed MLS club decided to do that, and that they feel like that's just way too much that they have to spend to get him, and knowing the fact that they're probably going to have him for a couple of years before he's going to be moving on, either retiring from his career or moving to the Middle East or China to kind of seize out his career. It's not really worth it trying to get him right now. Now, speaking of Real Madrid, this is kind of a little bit unrelated to MLS, but kind of also related to MLS and just a former MLS alum. And that, of course, is Alphonso Davies. There is a report that Real Madrid is looking to sign Alphonso Davies from Bayern Munich. Obviously, Davies has been just incredible with Bayern Munich. Not only he's now becoming almost a regular starter for one of the biggest team in the world, but there could be definitely a lot of people thinking that might be the best Canadian player, probably the best MLS product player to be sold off to Europe to play in Europe in that case. Now, that being said, there is report that Real Madrid might be coming to try to get him, and I just hope for Alphonso Davies' sake, please stay at Bayern. I mean, we've seen many times before, whether if you have a player that gets like overhyped and that they've been linked with Real Madrid, and that once that player decided to go to Real Madrid or even another big team like Barcelona, their career just go way downhill. And what Alphonso Davies right now at Bayern, and this especially the form that he's in, I would be absolutely shocked if he decided to think about going to Real Madrid. And as much as I know Real Madrid is definitely a club that every soccer player would really love to play for once, it's just not worth it when you're also playing one of the biggest club and one of the club that a lot of players want to play in Bayern Munich. And especially when you're doing well with that club, there's just no point of actually decided to just move to another club that has even more higher pressure of you to perform. And if you do not perform, then you're going to look at it as a flop, and that a lot of players that has looked as a flop for Real Madrid has their career just go downward spiral. And, just for the sake of Alphonso Davies, hopefully that is not going to be the case. Now, Darian Espira has undergone successful meniscus surgery, as it was announced today, and that he is going to be out 5 to 6 months. And I'm assuming this is probably a new injury that he suffered, because if he suffered this injury right before when MLS decided to shut its door because of this whole COVID-19 pandemic, then why in the world did he decide not to have that surgery at that point and wait until now that is going to be the case? Now, the good news for him is that even though he's going to be out 5 to 6 months, depending on whether or not if MLS is going to restart or when are they going to restart, most likely there might be a chance that he could come back with this team right near the end of the year. But again, this is where I also want to say that it depends on whether or not if MLS is going to restart, and if they do restart, when exactly the season is going to end. Is it going to be ending like in December, or is it going to be ending like even into January and February, if that's what the league is thinking of potentially playing all the game for the remaining of the season in these next couple of months. Now, the Montreal Impact is exploring possibility of training outside of Montreal, and the reason why the Impact has to do this is because Montreal, like many Canadian city, has put a big restriction of no kind of outdoor activity, and that you can't go to parks to do some outdoor activity because of this whole pandemic. And it seemed like Montreal is trying to find a loophole into this and try to maybe train outside of Montreal. And I won't be surprised if other teams that is kind of having the same situation, where if you're a team that your city decided that you cannot allowed to either have some outdoor activity or train on the training pitch, they might have to go somewhere else to do it because of that. So we'll just see whether or not if that is going to be the case. And by the way, we still have not had every single MLS team have announced their intention of returning to training, and that not every team has also took the idea that they allowed their individual player to train back in their training facility. So we shall see whether or not when exactly that is going to be the case, where every single team is going to start allowing their players back into the training facility, and that would be a right step in terms of road to restart the MLS season. And finally, we conclude with Robbie Robinson won the ACC Male Athlete of the Year, and as I said I think last time when I talked about how he won the Male Athlete of the Year award for Clemson, I am truly shocked the fact that he actually won this award. Consider the ACC is a conference that has a lot of good players in every athletic program, and that you usually think a football player would won this award, but it isn't the case this year. And that, congratulations to Robbie Robinson of winning this award, and that let's just hope that he of course have recovered that injury that he suffered from Inter Miami, or not Inter Miami, but against LAFC, because as I mentioned before, he suffered that injury in that opening game, and we still have no idea whether or not is he going to return this season, or what kind of injury that he suffered during that game. But yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for the news of the week. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these news, and if there's any other news that I didn't mention on the board, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay safe out there, as we are trying to continue to battle this whole pandemic situation. I mean, eventually I know things are going to get better, but as of now, try to stay safe out there, and try not to just go out too much. That potentially could reignite the spread of this whole pandemic situation. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I of course will see you guys next time.